Hey guys, Jay here. So last time I put out a video with 5 random tips for beginner cosplayers. Well, what if you're not a cosplayer? That's not going to help you. But what if you want to go to conventions still and still have all the fun that the cosplayers do, just without the cosplay aspect? Well, in that case, this video is probably right for you, as this video I'm going to be giving you 5 tips for conventions that are, I don't really have a title, but it's 5 tips for pretty much your first convention. Alright, so let me preface this one also by saying that this is just a random list in a random order, well, semi-random order this time. I did put the first one in its spot for a reason. We will get right into that. But so they are random, and me and Atlas kind of made a list of things for our video and took 5 of the lesser important ones, and we're throwing them in this video. So these aren't as important as the next ones that are going to be coming out after the convention, but that's not until next month, so I can't do anything about that until then. But until then, this video is going to be 5 random ones, so let's get right on into it. Alright, so random tip number 1, like I said, is in its place for a specific reason, and that is because it is exactly the same as the one in the cosplay specific video, where it's prepare to spend more money than you think. Now, unlike the cosplay video one, I'm not talking about the stuff you're going to be wearing like your cosplay or anything. In this case, it's completely different, as it's going to be what you're going to buy at the convention rather than before the convention for your cosplay. So it's the same thing as the other one, it's just a different meaning. So you're probably going to be buying food while you're there, obviously. You're going to have to eat, so you're probably going to be buying food, stuff to drink, water, soda, energy drink, I don't know, what, coffee maybe, whatever you're getting to drink at the convention, or to eat at the convention. You're going to be buying all of that stuff. So you're going to have to want to know kind of what you're going to be spending. So if you think you're going to be eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you can make sure of whether or not the hotel has like maybe the free breakfast for its guests and take advantage of that for spending less money. Things like that. It's very possible to go really low on that type of stuff. If you go to the store, buy stuff ahead of time, get stuff to make in the hotel rooms, bring sandwiches, I don't know, anything to lower your money, but that doesn't really help when you have to buy things at the convention. Well, you don't really have to, but you can. Things like figures, Pokemon cards, other merch, shirts, hoodies, other cosplays, they sell cosplay there. You know, things like that, other stuff at the convention that you'd be buying at the convention. So there is a lot of money to be spent, so just remember that you're going to need a lot of money. Now, typically in the artist alley, prints are going to be anywhere from like 20 to 40 for a normal, a little bit bigger than paper sized, depending on who's selling it. Plushies are going to be probably up in the like 60s or 70s, things like that. Charms are probably going to be like $6. You're going to be spending a lot more than you would for these same items at like Walmart. So just remember that, and yeah, just basically budget yourself. Alright, random tip number 2 is going to be learn the con space layout. So this also entails the surrounding area, like the places around it. So along with number 1, talking about you probably need to figure out what food's going to cost. If you know the area around you, then you'll know what kind of restaurants are around, and you can budget around that. You can say, well, Friday and Saturday we might go to these 2 restaurants, so you kind of know what they're priced. You know what Denny's is priced, you know what McDonald's is priced, I don't know, and then you're going to budget around those. So you're going to want to know that they're even there in the first place. So yeah, that's a good thing to do, is just know what's around the area, but specifically, if you can, get a map of the convention space and learn where the panel rooms are, learn where the dealer's hall is. If you really need to, you can ask. Most attendees will have already been there before and can help you. Staff should know all of this stuff, and then there is a convention help desk that is like a little desk with people standing behind it, and they are the knowledgeable people in the thing. That's why they're in that desk. They were allowed to be there and do that job because they know enough to do that job. So you can ask them, they can tell you where to go, but they're also going to show you on a map. They're going to say, well, it's right here on the map, and you're going to say, well, I don't know where that is. You're going to have to know something. So it's a good idea to have a map and learn the area What I like to do is if it's somewhere I haven't been before, when I go there Thursday, the day before, because we get our badges that day, and on the way to get badges of a new convention or a new space, I will go check out that whole space, or as much as I'm allowed to. So I'll walk around and find out where all the stairs are, where all the escalators are, where all the elevators are, where all the rooms are, all that kind of stuff. I'll learn where everything is so that I know where I'm going. So if someone says it's on something on the 5th floor, I'm not like, well, how do I get to the 5th floor? Because that way I know. So learning the con space is probably the most vital thing to know about going to a convention, and it probably shouldn't be in the least important ones of these, but there are a little bit more important ones, honestly, because you don't really need to, because there are people who can help you. But if anything, just learn the con space as you go, and you'll be fine. Alright, so random tip number 3, pre-reg if possible. Now, it's not always possible. Some conventions, I don't know every convention. I don't know what every convention does or how they work. Some might not have it, I don't know. I can't say that all do if I don't know all of them. So if there is no pre-registering, then don't worry about it. Things like there's Chibi Chibi Con up here in Olympia, and it's free, so there's no pre-registration. You just go. So things like that, it's a little easier. You don't have to worry about pre-registering. You just kind of show up on the day. But things like SoccerCon and KomoriCon, you don't have to, but it makes Friday a lot easier. If you have a lot of stuff to do on Friday, and you have plans, there's panels you want to see, you're maybe hosting a panel. Well, you can't host a panel if you don't pre-reg. Never mind. You have to have a badge to get approved for a panel, so never mind. But maybe there's panels you want to go see. Maybe there's guests you would like to see, and too bad for you there on Friday morning. Things like that. Stuff like that can happen. And if you don't pre-reg, you're going to be spending all that time in line waiting for a badge. It takes a while at bigger conventions like that to get your badge, because there's so many people who didn't pre-register. They just can't. Usually they're younger or something, and they don't know the ins and outs, things like that. So pre-reg if possible, and then think about it this way too. Let's see, PAX West, which is up here in Seattle, and it's on Labor Day weekend. It's a gaming convention thing. I don't really know. I think they announce new games and stuff sometimes. I don't really know enough about it. I've never been. But I was actually going to see if I could go, but they're sold out. Yeah, it's only March and they're sold out. They've apparently been sold out for a while. So nobody can pre-register. Nobody can go now. They won't let anybody else in the door. So if you don't show up to get your badge and have it in the will call, you don't get in. So that kind of stuff does happen. That's why it's always good to pre-register as early as possible, if possible, and make sure you want to go before you do the pre-reg thing, because there are no refunds usually. So that's something else to really know. But yeah, it's a good idea, so I would do it. Alright, random tip number 4, stay hydrated or fed. Well, and fed, not or. Stay hydrated and fed. You're going to want to be both of those. You're going to want to be hydrated, you're going to want to be fed. You can do this during the convention, you can do it before you leave. Like the first one that I mentioned, about the free breakfast for people who are staying in the hotels. Take advantage of that, have a big hearty breakfast. You won't be too hungry during the day. You can bring a snack in a bag. You can take a snack for lunch or something, and then later you can go get dinner, things like that. So it's just really a good idea to stay fed and stay hydrated, because walking around the convention, it gets really hot. Imagine a convention where you're inside a building with thousands of other people. That's going to get extremely hot, and because of that heat, you're going to start to get dehydrated. And you're going to want to keep a lot of water with you, or Gatorade or stuff like that. All of that stuff is really good. I try to have a Gatorade with me if I can. I usually get one of those tall ones. They're kind of skinnier, but they're tall, and they have the top that you just turn, and then it turns into a nozzle. I try to have those with me, because they're thin enough to fit in bags better, things like that. But if not, then I always have enough money. I budget myself to know that I'm going to spend money on something like going to, I don't know, the subway in the convention center of SoccerCon, and getting something to drink, like asking them if I can get like a free water or something, you know, stuff like that, or even like a soda just to tide me over until something else is done so that I can go back and go actually hydrate myself. So that's something you really gonna want to make sure that you do. It's super important no matter what you're doing, honestly. You know, regardless of what you're doing, you always want to stay hydrated. So it's a good idea. And then, like I said, just make sure you're fed. Snacks in your bag are the best idea. I bring fruit snacks, gushers, things like that. And then if anybody needs anything, so just in case, if any of you see this and you see me at a convention and you need nourishment of some kind, I will usually have those in my bag with me at the convention, walking around, just in case. I bring a ton of them, just so that if somebody needs something, I can help them. So if that's you, be sure to come up to me and ask. I will do whatever I can to help you, and I'll probably even take you to go get water or something, because I know the layout pretty well. So things like that. Yeah, so stay hydrated and stay fed. Okay, so now we're on to the last one, random tip number 5. And this one should be extremely obvious, but I didn't have another one. So this is just in there because I couldn't think of a 5th one that wasn't going to go in the video with myself and Atlas at the convention. But prepare to walk a ton. Like, a ton. SakuraCon, you're probably going to be walking a couple marathons. Just be prepared for that. So wear shoes that are like comfy. I always have the same pair of shoes on, usually for most things. Like when I'm walking around normally, these are my regular shoes that I walk around in, so I'm used to them. So it doesn't hurt to walk around. But if I'm in a costume like my Gohan costume, I'm not used to those shoes. So those are a little bit painful, but they also have like a comfort insole in them, so they're a little better. And those are a good thing to have too, is like Dr. Scholl's or whatever. Comfort insoles. Always get those, put them in your shoes, no matter what kind of shoes you're wearing. That'll be a lifesaver. If you're doing a female costume and you wear heels, be careful of that too, because that's a really good way to hurt yourself. I've known quite a few people who have left the convention to go to the hotel and they were bleeding because they were walking in heels all day. Not a smart idea. Don't do it. I actually mentioned this in my 12 things not to forget to bring to conventions. So if you want to, that's also down in the description, and you can go check that out. That's kind of related to this whole thing of tips, but this is more just general tips for anybody, you know, whatever. But yeah, so just prepare to walk a lot, going to hotel and back. Know if you're uphill or not. I know my hotel, when I go back, if I go from the front doors and I go around, it's uphill. If I go from the park going around, you're only going uphill for about a block rather than like 8 minutes. So it's a lot better, or no, actually it's like 15 minutes now that I think about it. So it's a lot better to go that back way and know that that's an uphill thing. So if I absolutely have to go through the front for something, then I can just walk downhill. But if I have to go back, I'm going to go through the convention center, through the park, and go through the back way of the park and go uphill only a block. That's way better. So that has to do with the, what was it, number 2? I have a list right there. Number 2, the learn the con space and the surrounding areas. So that should have also been in there, but whatever. Yeah, so like I said, you're going to be walking a ton, so just prepare for it. Alright, so this is the first video in the 5 random tips for convention goers and your first convention, whatever it's called. And there will be more, just like the last one, there will be more of those too. They're just going to be in their own kind of categories. Those are going to be cosplay, this is going to be convention. The next videos will be out after the convention. We're filming them at the convention, as well as all the convention footage, so be prepared for that. Anyway, if you are brand new to cosplay or conventions, be sure to check out the playlist that this is going to be in, which is just a general cosplay and convention tips and tricks playlist. It will be at the very end of the video, probably on this side somewhere. And just like all my other videos that I'm putting these new cards on, it's really cool. Yeah, it'll be over here somewhere, and it'll be the playlist that has all of these tip and trick videos in them. They're just kind of sporadic. I don't know what to tell you there, but Anyway, that's it for this. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.